Hey folks, it's Adam at OpenOrg. I'm here to give you a quick whiz around and tour of our AI Workspace. This is the workspace for startup HR teams to plan, to build, to ship their work way faster, way easier than ever before. If you haven't tried this yet and you're in startup HR, please come and have a go. You can try this for free by heading to openorg.fyi. You'll find the right button on the homepage to navigate to our demo dashboard where you can dive in, have a play around, and use our workspace and get a feel for the different components of it. But I'm here to give you a bit of a tour and a look around so you can get a bit of a feel for what lies inside as well, if you'd like to see how it works. So over the next few minutes, I'm just going to show you a couple of elements in here. We've got an AI build partner, which we'll spend most of our time on, so I can show you how people teams are creating different things with him. We've also got some playbooks, some resources, some other cool stuff in here as well, which I'll show you now. So I'm going to start there actually. So I'm going to dive into our playbook library. This is exclusive to our AI workspace, and inside we've got a handful of really valuable playbooks. These are playbooks which we have built by hand ourselves over the last few years, and we've collected them and curated them and put them into this workspace. They are really valuable. They're distilled down from about 25 years of our combined experience working with and operating as people leaders in startups and scale-ups all over the world, and they cover some really common but really challenging people and culture initiatives. You'll recognize some, I'm sure. We've got things like people manager development. How do we support managers and build capability post training with things like communities of practice, team health checks? How do we build a better way to get a pulse on how teams are doing without hitting survey fatigue? How do we create better feedback culture? How do we launch our organization's first decent performance framework? How do we better leverage AI and embed AI properly into our business rather than just layering it on top? So some really helpful playbooks, and the style of these, very self-navigational, step-by-step guided playbooks. We've got video walkthroughs. We've got loads of great templates woven in throughout each one as well. And again, each one follows particular stages, so you can follow them in your own time, read them over a coffee, tailor them to your needs, and work out the best approach for you. Each one's also got a handful of incredible useful resources woven into each one as well. So you've got example frameworks from other companies, books and articles, tools, etc. They are packed with gold, packed with value, and incredibly valuable if you'd like to take the more manual route, just to read through, work out a plan, and decide how you might take this forward in your own company. Or you could take it up a level and utilize Gandalf, our AI build partner, to help you do that in a much smarter way. So I'm going to show you Gandalf now. He is the main event of our AI workspace, and he is how a lot of people teams are getting their work done way faster, way quicker. Gandalf, before I dive into showing you an example, just to give you a bit of a feel for the foundations that he's built on, you get the best of both here from our point of view. We've built him on top of the Claude LLM. So from an API point of view, we are connected to Claude. We can utilize Claude's LLM, which we believe is currently, present day, the best AI model out there. And you can utilize him as a backup if the primary source of knowledge, which we'll go into in a minute, is missing any gaps or doesn't have anything there that can maybe help you. We'll turn to Claude and go out and utilize Claude to help deliver anything you need done. So to have that as a backup, we think is incredible. And that's a really big point that we like to make, is we are leveraging an incredible AI model, but the really exclusive piece about Gandalf is that the primary source of knowledge and the primary way in which you'll be utilizing Gandalf is actually from OpenOrg's ecosystem of resources as well. We've got 10,000 plus resources, policies, frameworks, templates, playbooks that we have built over time, and we've pulled them together into our own call it mini HR curated internet. And that is the primary source of knowledge for Gandalf when he is building, sharing, advising, you name it. He'll utilize that first and then use Claude if he needs to go further and gather. Putting those two things together, we think, is an incredible thing to give startup HR teams, and I'm going to show you how some of that works in a moment. But before I do, I'm just going to show you how he's set up so you can get a bit of a feel for the way that he thinks and the way that he works. So Gandalf has 4 different modes, and we've done this on purpose. they automatically switch between modes, and he'll infer this based on the questions you ask and how he understands the conversation going, or the requests that you give him. But 4 different modes that will dictate how he responds to you and the approach that he takes with you. So we've got create mode. This is probably about 85% of how people use Gandalf, which is really exciting. This is the mode that will be used if you are building frameworks, creating plans, documents, policies, anything with some sort of document creation or output typically falls under create mode. We've also got find mode. This is if you need to go and find something very, very specific. So please share 10 examples of some of the best employee handbooks out there. He will go out there in 10 seconds, come back with that list of 10 from our ecosystem. Done. Easy. We've also got coach mode. Coach mode will see him flip into a little bit more of a sparring partner. So he'll spend a bit more time pushing, probing, asking you questions, taking that sort of coaching style approach, and we've tweaked and tailored that very, very carefully to help you solve problems. And then finally, we've got research mode. This is where he might utilize the Claude LLM a little bit more. This is about going out and saying, we want to do some deeper research, salary benchmarking as an example. This isn't something that we do at OpenOrg as a platform. We might be able to go out and do that via Claude, but it means you can all do that still from Gandalf from one place. So 4 different modes, all do very different things, but very, very cleverly, and they all automatically switch without you having to do a thing. On top of the modes, we also have capabilities, which I'm just going to have a show you now. So we built these very, very specific capabilities. Think of them as skills that Gandalf can utilize in the right moment when need be. You can either ask him specifically to use these skills, or he will prompt you if he thinks he could benefit from utilizing one of these. We tend to find that startup people teams are lean or solo, and you therefore miss a lot of specialist skills in your team. You might not have a TA team to build you job ads. You might not have an L&D person to help build facilitation or workshops. You might not have someone who can go and analyze surveys easily, etc., etc. There's a lot of knowledge gaps in startup HR teams, and this is our way of helping you to fill those gaps by utilizing some very, very specific skills. So these will be activated automatically, or you'll be prompted throughout a conversation, and I'll show you in a minute, hopefully, how that works. Back to 2 more things quickly before we try an example out, and I'll just show you a little bit about how this works. So Gandalf will automatically also gather your work context whilst he's having conversations with you and update your context here. So if you are going through M&A or layoffs or hypergrowth, or there's a change in the tools you're using, he will go in and change that automatically. You don't have to touch it. You can edit it manually if you want to dive in. If he's giving you responses that maybe are not quite right, or you want to tailor it a little bit, you can go in and edit that still. But that's a really cool addition, and we think it's incredibly important, because when you think about the playbooks I showed you just now, they are brilliant, but they're going to work very differently for different people's context. Culture and people is an incredibly contextual thing. And so you need to tailor whatever you are building, whatever your advice you're getting, whatever research you're doing has to be for your business and for your context. And this is where the work context piece is so important for us. The final feature I'll just show you is the ability to tag documents and resources and other cool stuff on Gandalf and bring them into your conversation as well, which we think is very cool, but it's also incredibly, again, exclusive to Gandalf. No other AI model can tag or bring in or utilize the resources that we've got, because it's within our exclusive HR internet. So you can tag some very cool things in here. Playbooks, which I showed you just now. So if you've read one of our playbooks and you decide, actually, I love the way that OpenOrg approach feedback culture, you could go to Gandalf and say, hey, I love this feedback culture playbook. Please, could we create a plan for me to deliver this in my business, in my context? And he'll work through with you to tailor that to create something that's very bespoke. And you can do that with any of these playbooks, which is really, really cool. You can also, if you're familiar with Openverse, go in and tag any of the resources that sit within Openverse and bring them in. So if you've been inspired by a template or an example that you've seen, tag it, ask him to create you one that's similar for your context, and he can do that as well, which is pretty cool. And also, finally, which we'll test in a minute, all the documentation that you create within Gandalf will live in here as well. And so you can tag your own documents and bring them into other conversations as well. And I'll just show you how that works now very quickly. Over a couple of minutes, we'll try and create something together and see what that looks like to give you a bit of a feel. So I'm going to pretend that yesterday I did some culture survey analysis, and now I want to build a slide deck for my exec meeting tomorrow to present those results back to the board. So please can we take the culture survey results we created yesterday and build a beautiful slide deck presentation to share with the team tomorrow. I'd like to bring in plenty of the analysis, the core themes and the traffic light style breakdowns, please. So a few requests there to ask of him just to see what he can do and how he can handle that. But he's now got that document. He now should go away and start to think about building that together for you. Actually, this is perfect. Perfect timing. So just now we were talking through the capabilities that he's got, and I mentioned that they'll automatically be suggested to you without you having to think about activating them. So he's actually flagged to me that he has a specialized data storyteller capability to help transform data and insights into exec ready decks. This ordinarily would be really helpful. So if you are building a business case for something and you need a little bit of help connecting like data to business goals or data to like impact, really awesome thing to go through. He might take a little bit more time asking you some questions about goals and OKRs and stuff. So for now, I'll say no, because that will take a little bit more time. But I'm going to pretend for the moment that no, we're super aligned as a team. No need to build a business case. Let's just build the deck. So skip that for today, but again, this is like a perfect example of how the capabilities are woven into Gandalf. You don't need to think about activating a capability or a mode or anything like that. He will automatically spot that opportunity, suggest utilizing it, and you can then decide at the time whether you want to do that or not. So anyway, he skipped past that. We're now in build mode. He's now creating, hopefully, a slide deck for us to have a quick peek at, and usually this takes about 15-20 seconds versus like hours and hours of your time as a people leader trying to build like PowerPoints and decks. We see this like request a lot in our insights, people trying to build things or speed up building things, and it's a massive time saver. So here we go. So he's created our first version. Let's have a little bit of a peek. We've asked him to pull in quite a few things. So let's see what he's done. So we've got like a bunch of slides, which is good because I've asked him to like go fairly deep on the analysis, which is good. We've got the traffic light style like component breakdowns, which I love. Looks very smart. And then we've got like some deep dives on some of the core themes, which is also pretty cool. Plus then some time on action plans and roadmap and all that sort of great stuff at the end, which is very cool. So I love it. There's a couple of things missing. I'm just going to ask him to update this doc just to give you a feel for how docs are updated as well. So this is great as a start. Two things, please. One, could we please update the deck to a green color from blue? So simple request, but like just to show you like how easy it is to tweak and change. He will, as a note, a lot of the outputs he creates from a deck point of view, we're not expecting them to be like finished articles for you. Every people team's going to want to put their own touch, logo, brand, template against this. So he will create you an incredible version, one that probably saves you about 80% of the time that it would usually take to build this. But it's a really great starting point. There we go. Simple change, nice color, but an example of how we can update that doc. Final thing just to show you, which is also quite cool. Gandalf has this ability to create really nice charts and render charts. You can't put them into the decks Right now it's quite tricky to do, but you can export them very easily and then put them in afterwards when you're putting the final touches. So please could you create a couple of beautiful charts that I could export and add in myself. I haven't been specific on this example with which charts I want, but again, you should infer that and look at the analysis that we've already got, and hopefully come back to me with a couple of like really nice looking charts that we can download and export and weave into our slide deck ourselves once we have finished doing that. Once that's finished doing its thing, you should be able to then see a couple of nice charts that we can then go and play with, export, tweak, change, etc. So very cool. Hopefully a little example of how people teams are using Gandalf to build, to plan, to create, and to like ship their work really, really quickly without having to use PowerPoint, without having to run like deeper analysis in their own time, etc. Some very, very cool ways to use this. If you haven't tried it yet, come and have a go. You can build and create almost anything on here within the people and culture realm. So come and have a bit of a play around. You can do that for free. Head to OpenOrg, FYI, and see what you can create.